Yeah, oh, by the way, we have that. I'm like, what? Hey guys, Metal Jesus here, and I'm back with part 3 of our epic 2,000-mile road trip through Nevada, California, and Oregon. In previous parts 1 and 2, we visited Reno, Nevada, and stayed in a casino. We did some bowling, we did some video game hunting, we went down and checked out Lake Tahoe, and then after that we went to the Sacramento area where we visited the brand new Fire and Ice Retro Gaming Expo there. We had a great time at that expo and found a bunch of really cool video games, which I showed in the previous videos. But in part 3, we are going to head over to the Pacific Coast and wind our way north up Highway 101. We're going to see some amazing sights along the way. We're also going to stop in Coos Bay and check out some video game stores, as well as some music records shops. Also take in some of the local scenery. And then we're going to end this trip in Portland, Oregon. There's a lot going on in this video, so let's take a look. This next leg of the road trip is about a 5-hour drive over to Eureka, California, as we head over to the coast and we get out of the big cities for a while. And this is the part of the road trip that Scott is actually looking forward to the most, really for 2 reasons. The first one being he's never actually been to the Pacific Coast in Northern California and Oregon. And it's one of those things where it's so beautiful and also so different than what we have up in Washington. The Oregon coast actually is pretty rugged, and I like that about it. It's very beautiful pretty much everywhere you go. And the other reason is that we're getting out of the cities. You know, the whole point of this road trip is to get in our cars and drive them, get out of the city, get out of traffic and all that sort of mess, and just enjoy our cars on these lonely, winding roads. And that's exactly what we did here. And both of our cars are very different from each other. So mine is a 2022 GTI. It's a front-wheel drive car, and it weighs just a little over 3,000 pounds. And then Scott's car is a 2024 BMW M3, which is a rear-wheel drive car and weighs significantly more. It's about 1,000 pounds more than my car, but his also has much more horsepower. So it's interesting to kind of see these 2 cars and how they drive on these back roads, these windy roads. It's fun because that's what they're made for. And what's cool is that once you get over to the coast, there are lots of opportunities to pull over and do a bunch of sightseeing. It happens pretty much every couple miles. The first one that we ran into is Chandelier Tree in the Redwoods. You hear about this all the time. It's one of those iconic things in Northern California. You see it in movies and on postcards and posters and all that sort of stuff. Basically, it's where you drive your car through this massive tree. And yes, this old tree is still very much alive, although the hole that you drive your car through is smaller and narrower than you might expect. I certainly was kind of surprised here because both of our cars, while not huge, they just barely fit through with only just like a couple inches to spare on either side. I was quite surprised. And I'll be honest, it's kind of cheesy, but it's also cool. I mean, you basically just show up here, you hang out for, 10, 15 minutes. There is a little gift shop, and then you're on your way. So it doesn't take a lot of time. It's not too expensive. And this roadside attraction has been around since the 1930s. So it's iconic. And again, it doesn't take a lot of time off the side road. So definitely check it out. You'll also run into stuff like Paul Bunyan and his big blue ox babe. That's kind of funny. You can't miss it. It's massive. Just alongside the road, you can stop there and spend a couple hours kind of going through the forest. And there's just tons of places as you go north on 101 to pull off and take photos. You can also walk down to the beach on many of these, check out the beautiful water, the beautiful scenery. It's honestly, it just goes on for miles and miles, hours and hours. It's truly stunning. Once we made it to Coos Bay, the first stop I wanted to check out is Recycle Games. That is that game store that we first visited about 2 years ago. Now, immediately I noticed that they changed the look and the feel of the store since the last time I was here. I would say that there's probably a little bit less clutter. It's also a little bit easier to get around, but they still had it packed full of goodies. Annie, the store owner, came out and greeted me, and she wanted to show some stuff that she had acquired, including this one-of-one Xbox Series X. And you notice here that it has a custom paint job on here, as well as the controller, and then inside is a congratulations letter. So this was won by an Xbox fan here in Coos Bay, and then Microsoft sent it to him. And so here's the letter. Very cool. It's incredibly hard to put a value on it. Honestly, I don't even know if she's going to sell it. I think she's just got it in the store to show as kind of like a showpiece or a trophy or something that she would put on the wall. Because again, there's only one in the world. So it's weird because it's so incredibly rare, but it's also the Xbox Series X. It's not collectible yet, but I thought it was pretty neat. Another thing that they brought out to show me is this custom-made Nintendo 64. Initially, they didn't tell me what was different about this, and you're probably noticing this off a little bit. Well, that's because it is a 3D printed shell that glows in the dark. And basically, this is just the machine that they use to test cartridges that are sold to them, but they wanted it to be unique and kind of stand out, and yeah, it's pretty cool looking. She also showed me the second storage room, which has expanded a lot since I was here 2 years ago. When I was here 2 years ago, there's basically just stuff on the floor and a little bit, on the wall. Since then, she's had several new collections traded in. You can see right here, there's hardly even any walking room in here. So this was quite the thing to see. She did show that she actually got quite a bit more big box PC games as well as strategy guides. And I'll show you what I picked up from here at the end of this video. Along with video games, she's also had some stuff traded in from the original Dungeons and Dragons. So she's got these books here signed by Gary Gygax. So that was pretty cool. Not entirely sure what she's going to do with these. She said she might sell them on eBay. She might leave them in the store for, a local collector. So if you're interested, you might want to reach out to her. But overall, it was really fun going back into Recycle Games. I'm glad that Annie is still doing well and the store is doing great. And she's still talking about doing that museum. We'll have to see if that actually happens one day. But I know that she's got the inventory for it because everywhere you look, there's something really interesting that she could put in that. It was also recommended that I check out a local record store called Off the Record. I was excited to check this out because I've heard they've got a bunch of vinyl records. And I thought it was pretty interesting because way in the back, as you walk through the store, they have a selection of turntables back there to kind of help people start out their vinyl music adventure, essentially. So you don't have to get it from Amazon. You can come here and actually get something that's tested and talk to them because they can basically recommend, some really high-end stuff if that's what you're looking for, like this Macintosh setup here, or you can kind of go cheaper, basically just, dip your toe in it a little bit and get one of those Crosleys. So basically something for everyone. And so I dug through many of the records here and I did find some really cool stuff. I'm going to share with you what I got at the end of the video. We also visited 2 state parks in the Coos Bay area, and the first one you see here, the tide is just way out, exposing way more of the beach than normal. And we were here actually early in the morning on the second day. Not a ton of people here yet, which was kind of nice, so we kind of had it all to ourselves. And then really close to this, just down the road a bit, was the second state park, and this one had a completely different look to it, where you used to go out here and it's like super jagged cliffs and these rock formations. We stood here for quite a while kind of taking this in. Again, we kind of had the place to ourselves, which is pretty cool. That is one of the nice things when you visit these small little towns on the Oregon coast. They're not very big, they don't have a ton of crowds. Maybe on holiday weekends and stuff, but for the most part, it's pretty easy to go and, just kind of chill out and be by yourself. It was also recommended that I visit Mingus Gardens in the city, and I'm glad that I did. It was a really nice just afternoon walking around this small little lake. There's this little walking path that goes around it. Again, not a ton of people here. This was pretty chill, beautiful. There's lots of ducks and other birds just kind of flittering about, so that was definitely a nice break as well. So, it's good to get out and touch grass every once in a while, right? While I was doing all of this, Scott took the afternoon and rented a UTV on the sand dunes. The cool thing is that it's only about 5 or 6 miles outside of town, so it's not very far. You go out there, you rent this thing, and you basically just have a blast kind of bombing around the sand dunes. He came back with a huge smile on his face. So yeah, in addition to, it's fun to explore beaches, but yeah, you can actually do this as well, especially when you're visiting Coos Bay. It was at this point that it was time for Scott and I to part ways. His plan is to continue going up the Oregon coast for a bit. He wants to check out more of the scenery there because he's never been. And I'm going to head over to Portland for a couple days. It's funny because when we were planning this trip, Scott discovered that Tillamook Cheese Factory is on the Oregon coast. And he is a massive fan of their cheese. And I mean, who isn't really? It's so good, right? We eat it all the time. But yeah, he'd never been to the cheese factory, so he made it a point to drive up there and go through the factory, do the whole touristy thing, visit the gift shop. He was very excited. And then later on, he ended up at a Bare Naked Ladies concert. He texted me. He's like, dude, I'm going to go see the Bare Naked Ladies tonight. I'm like, really? I didn't even know that they were playing. But he is all about live concert, which is cool. So it's funny because I was reminded that they did the theme song for The Big Bang Theory. I love that show. I love that theme song. And so he actually sent me a couple videos of them playing that song, but unfortunately I can't use the audio here on YouTube because of copyright. Wah, wah. And then for me, I wanted to end this epic trip visiting SideQuest Games in the Portland area. So SideQuest Games made this entire trip possible. They are the sponsor of this video, and I was thrilled to get another chance to go visit that store, and that's exactly what I did. And so I got to meet up with Josh and the employees and walk around the store for a bit, kind of explore some of the stuff that's going on there. They recently had a full GameCube game collection traded into the store. That is not something you see every day, and it included some heavy hitters. Thing about the GameCube is, obviously, it wasn't as popular as the PlayStation 2, and so some of these games either were exclusive to it and kind of hard to get today, or they maybe just didn't sell very well. And so people going for complete GameCube collections know how some of these titles I'm showing you right here can be very hard to find and very expensive. He also has the Simpsons branded Xbox 360 and controller. So again, this is something that you don't see every day. They didn't make a ton of these, and collectors of Xbox have been wanting to find this. He's got it in the store. Now, what's cool about this one, it still has the original Blade operating system on it. And I don't know about you, but I loved that version of the 360 operating system. They changed it over the years, and it was fine, but this original Blade version is pretty cool, and this still has it. Here are their store mascots, Luego and Marcus. I guess these were originally licensed by Nintendo back in 1988. They were distributed by Carnival retailers, and I guess they came in several sizes, and these things are huge. Some other stuff that was pretty cool in the store, he has these retro hats. Now, I'm not a hat guy, but I do like seeing some of these things here, so that was pretty cool to see. He also has a special version of Uncharted 2. Now, I'm trying to remember, but I think these were sent to influencers and some of the reviewers of the day. Specifically, I remember that dagger, that key dagger being a part of this. I was very jealous because a friend of mine got it, Brittany. She got one of these. It's probably still in her collection too. So loved Uncharted 2. That's probably my favorite game of the series, and this is a really special version of that. Another thing that came in with that GameCube collection is this sealed copy of Pokemon Channel. Now, that by itself isn't very unusual. However, if you flip it over, you notice that it comes bundled with a Pokemon Mini. We hadn't seen that before, have you? And so as you can see, SideQuest Games in the Portland area is a great retro gaming store. They've always got a ton of really interesting stuff to find in here. And Josh, the owner, is a big part of the gaming community. He's also one of the organizers of the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. So in addition to running the store, he's also spending time making sure that that expo is going to be as great as it always is. And so if you're in the area, you should definitely check out SideQuest Games. It's a fantastic store, and I want to thank them for sponsoring this entire road trip. And with that said, you're probably wondering what I picked up. Well, it's been a while since I bought a new Nintendo cartridge, but I mentioned to Josh that one of the things I miss in my collection is a complete copy of Excitebike. It's my favorite NES game by far. I rode motorcycles as a kid. I was passionate about them, and I loved this game. And for whatever reason, I've just never had a complete copy of it. So he had this version here, and I picked it up at SideQuest. He also had this random game I'd never seen before called Iron Cryptical. No idea what this was. I picked it up. I played it a little bit so far, and it's kind of like Gauntlet meets Smash TV. It's pretty wild, so I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it. I had fun playing it so far, but I definitely want to give it a little bit more time. I just, frankly just picked it up. I've also been casually buying UMD movies for the PSP. Not a ton, but if I see them and they're cheap, I'll pick them up. And I picked this up for a specific reason. That's because I've always wanted to watch the original Assault on Precinct 13. I've heard it's really good. I've never seen it. And then he also had the remake, which I have no idea if it's any good or not, but I figured, what the heck, I'll give it a shot. And so, yeah, I've been picking up random UMD movies here and there. Again, I'm not going to pay more than just a couple bucks for most of these because obviously the format is very limited, but it's also kind of neat. So, I'm kind of dipping my toe a little bit. Here's a horror game that I saw on the Switch that I swear I watched a trailer or maybe a review at some point. I'm not entirely sure, but I looked at the back and I like its black and white aesthetics. Looks kind of like manga or something, so I don't know anything about it. I have no idea if it's even any good or not, but it seemed interesting, so I picked it up. I did pick up 2 big box PC games in Coos Bay. You see the first one here, Bloodstone. Don't know anything about it, but could be kind of cool. Looks like an RPG of some type. And then another RPG here by Surtech, and I've seen this one before. I've never owned it, never played it, but thought it might be kind of cool to pick up. It was complete and a decent price. I did pick up some music in Coos Bay, the first one being the Singles soundtrack on vinyl. So I've owned the CD version of this for decades, and I absolutely love the movie, of course, right? It's classic Seattle. But I didn't own the vinyl version, and what's cool about this particular one here is that it has a CD on the inside, and I believe it's extra songs. I'm not entirely sure yet, haven't listened to it, but I saw this and I was like, oh yeah, must own that on vinyl. And then I was surprised to see this. So this is Urge Overkill, and this has a special place in my heart because in the 90s I worked at a record store in the Seattle area, and when this album came out, we played it in the record store probably every day for like weeks, if not months after this came out. It's such a cool album. I don't know if a lot of people remember it or not, but man, it's a great album. A ton of variety on this album, so I was very happy to get a copy of this. And so that, guys, is the conclusion of my epic 2,000-mile road trip, starting in Washington State, going down to Oregon, Nevada, California, back up to Oregon, and then finally home in Seattle. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We had a great time, although, if I'm honest, by the end of it, I was getting pretty sick of hotels. Because we stayed in 6 hotels over 2 weeks, and so I was getting fairly tired of the hotel life at this point, and I was ready to go home. But we had a blast, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat. I also want to give another thank you to SideQuest Games for sponsoring this trip. That was very cool of Josh, and yeah, check out his store if you're in the area, because you won't regret it. And as always, guys, I want to thank you for watching my channel. Thank you for subscribing, and take care.